Hey everyone, welcome back to the Fantasy Football Upside. I am Justin, and that is Kyle.
He knows my name.
It's not that guy, or for me, it's not Jason. But hey, we want to say thank you for dropping by our Fantasy Football Podcast and our YouTube channel. Thank you very much. And today we're going to continue on our midsummer running back 2 rankings. We did our running back 1 rankings yesterday, so definitely check that out in the description below, as well as our mock draft we released on Monday. And Kyle pointed to the top. So definitely check those out for us. And then, hey, how about we just get right into it, Kyle? What do you think?
Sure, yeah. Toss us a subscribe, guys, and make sure you click that bell so you get notified every time we upload the best fantasy football podcast on the internet. Yep. Like you mentioned today, we're talking about running backs too. So we're hitting ranks 13 through 24. You can order them how you want or whatever based on your league, but we're talking about a 12-team standard league. Yep. So 13 through 24 is running back 2 for us. Not trying to be cute there or anything like that. Literally, that's what we're talking about. It's 12-team there, guys. All right. So right off the top, number 13, we have Kenyan Drake with the Arizona Cardinals. This is an interesting one. You've got him at 11. Yeah. I've got him at 12, and he falls consensus 13 for the two of us. So things are adding up a little odd there on things. We've not made any modifications
with somebody at the end.
It's got to be something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So Kenyan Drake, I struggled with where I was going to put Kenyan Drake this year. I am like, as the off season wears on, I am higher and higher on Kenyan Drake. I think that he is in a good situation. I think that he's in one that works for him. It's his best opportunity, obviously. Like, it's not hard to be a better opportunity than one he came from. So
he landed in a great opportunity.
Yeah. And I think it's a very diverse offense. So that's the concerns that I have for him, is that there's a lot of really good players on that offense who are going to be getting a lot of the focus. He's a good pass catching back, decent pass catching back. So he's going to be on the field a lot. He's not going to be game scripted out. So there is that at least. So if you're debating between a couple guys in RB2 territory, that's why I've pushed him where I have him. And I think that's probably why you've got him a little bit up there too. What do you have to add on Kenyan Drake?
Yeah, it's one of those things that there is just a little bit of uncertainty just because he didn't really perform in Miami. But man, talk about getting a change of scenery, going from the wasteland of Miami Dolphins backfield to Arizona Cardinals. And when he got there, weeks 9 through 16, he's the 5th best running back.
Yeah.
So I think we're looking at him continuing to do that. And once again, when he left Miami, he was averaging 5.5 points per game, which was RB 49. So talk about running back 49 to running back 5. And it was just a different team. Now, he was the same guy. So I think he's going to build on what he did last year with Arizona. You mentioned there are a lot of weapons, and DeAndre Hopkins coming into town. You can't ignore that.
Yeah.
Ever heard of him?
No.
So it's one of those things where he's also playing on a 1-year deal. It was one of those transition tags. So it's a contract year. Even if he gets that franchise tag, that's going to be a good amount of money for a running back. So I mean, there's going to be a fire underneath his butt. And that's one thing, though, is like, why wasn't he performing that well in Miami? There's a guy down there we don't really like. He's not there anymore, thank God. But is Adam –
I don't know. Adam
look around Gase.
Adam chased the dragon Gase.
Spiders.
Yeah, I think that this is one of those guys that I think is going to surprise a lot of people. I think that he's going to be faded by a lot of people. I think he's not a sexy pick. And so I think that eventually you're going to be able to get a good value on him come draft season, actually.
Yep.
Unless he shows some sort of flashes that a lot of people catch on to during preseason, assuming we have some preseason games here. I think otherwise this is going to be somebody that you can really snag early in a draft and, surprise a few people, I think.
Yeah, you're great.
Yeah, people are going to kind of look at you sideways, but hey, have at it, right? All right, who do we have for number 14, Justin?
Number 14, we have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, or we like to call him the Ekeler.
Yeah.
For the Kansas City Chiefs. And this one we're ranked pretty far off, really. I have them at 17.
Between the two of us, yeah.
Yeah, between the two of us. I have them at 17. You have them at 11.
Yeah.
And for me, it's just one of those things where the guy is talented. I mean, you're not the first running back off the board going to a amazingly talented team if you're not very good. It's just Damian Williams is still there. And for some reason, Andy Reid still loves Damian Williams. I mean, it's one of those things where he keeps coming back towards the end of the season and just dominating the opportunities and the targets and everything. So maybe that runs true again. Maybe it doesn't. But this guy's a freaking bowling ball. He does a little bit of everything. He's going to run. He's going to catch. And once again, he's on the number one offense, in my opinion, and I think in your opinion, with the Kansas City Chiefs. So the only thing that is my worrisome is the opportunity. How much is he going to get? What do you think?
You know what? I think that the chatter's starting to grow as far as like this guy's going to get the opportunity. I think it's starting to shift. There's as rookies are starting to report here shortly. I think actually the rookies were told to report on July 20th. I don't know if that actually happened or not.
I couldn't remember if it was the 20th or the 23rd. It was
the 20th. I think that the news said it was 20th, and they made special mention of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And just as the season gets closer and closer, I think that there's a likelihood that he's going to end up getting the predominant carries even starting out. And I think he's going to seize hold of this opportunity because this is a scheme that is built for a guy like him. And this is an offense that's been looking for that running back spark that it's been missing since Kareem Hunt got booted, right? Yeah. So I think that this is the guy that changes that for them. And I think they're going to ultimately – this will be a split like what we've talked about with Miles Sanders and Boston Scott to some extent. And I think that Helaire is the one who gets the predominant amount of carries there. And so I'm starting to – he's starting to grow on me, and that's why I've got him in my top 12. Yeah. And also, look, we don't have a rookie in our top 12, and there's always one that finishes up there, and this is the guy who's most likely to do it is my thought. So I got to keep that streak alive.
And all right, let's move on. Damian Williams, he's not really known for his durability. So it's definitely something to remind yourself. He's not known for durability.
Speaking of not being known for durability, number 15. Sad face. Is Todd Gurley with the Atlanta Falcons. We both kind of like Todd Gurley this year. This is another odd one here, though. You have him at 16, I have him at 17, but he's our 15th running back. But we both do actually like him. He flew up our draft boards since the last time that we talked about running backs. Yeah. And, I think that there's a very good reason for that. He showed up healthy, apparently, right, to a physical. So there's that. That's one check mark. And then another check mark is that he's in an offense that's going to use his skill set very, very well. And they're not reliant upon him to carry the team. Whereas the Rams, for a good amount of time, the passing game's been strong, but when they were riding Gurley, when he was healthy, everything went through Todd Gurley.
Yep.
He's still young. This dude's still young. So he's got a lot of
26.
He's got a lot of time still to go in the league. So we'll see what's going to happen. But I think we're both starting to sort of like him, but I honestly do not see him getting any further up my draft board than where he is, unless we start seeing guys getting COVID, right?
Right. I think, I think where he's at right now is probably where we're going to have him going into the draft season, unless any kind of unforeseen circumstances come up, like you just mentioned. So, man, when the guy's on the field, he does still perform. And he still does. He gets a good amount of workload. And it's one of those things where I know they were fading him a little bit. The Rams were when giving him the ball at the beginning of the season. And then all of a sudden, Sean McVay's like, oh, crap, I have this guy named Todd Gurley. Let's go ahead and give him some more work. Yeah, and then he actually helped you guys out if you had him in your lineup going into the championship round. And the guy still finished 14th. And that was with a pretty busted up offensive line of the LA Rams. And, I mean, his numbers were down, and I think you have to kind of point towards the limitations of that offense with a banged-up offensive line. And like you said, he's not going to be the number one option on this Atlanta Falcons team. It's going to be passing. Hey, he catches the ball, and let's sprinkle in some runs, and let's see how many less 8 men in the boxes he's going to get.
Yep.
So that's what I
think. All right,
think.
who do you have for me here at 16?
So at number 16, looks like we have Austin Ekeler of the LA Chargers. Kyle, LA Chargers. Peyton Manning, it's LA Chargers, not San Diego Chargers. And this one is a
nobody's watching either way.
Yeah. This one's a little bit of a difference, of course. This one's number 14 for me and 22 for you.
Yeah.
I get it. You're probably worried about what he can handle workload wise, and he's very PPR relevant. That's where he stands, and we're talking about standard league, but the guy still just dominated out of the box. I mean, when Melvin Gordon was holding out weeks 1 through 4, he's the 4th best running back. Smaller sample size, but he showed that he can do it. He showed that he can handle the workload too. He had a lot of it. Justin Jackson's there. He still is there.
Yeah,
they drafted Josh Kelly.
Who's putting the ball in his hand?
That's what we don't know.
Exactly.
But hey, if it's actually just handing him the ball,
that's okay.
How can you mess that up?
I don't know.
You could find ways.
Give me a chance to do it, and I'll show you how.
Well, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
But the guy's dominant, and yes, we just don't know who the quarterback is going to be. So, what do you think?
I've pushed him further and further down my board.
You have.
There have been a few guys that I've had to just sort of move, and it's concerns about. I really don't know exactly what to expect. My concern here is that, I anticipate Tyrod Taylor getting the ball to start for the season, but I also anticipate that at some point Justin Herbert's going to take over, and I don't think Justin Herbert's really that good. Like, that was my assessment, was that he should not have been drafted where he was drafted. I think that it was an absolute reach on their part. I don't think he was a first-round QB, and a lot of people agree with me on that. So I think that he's a guy who needs time to develop. So my concern here is that Ekeler's primary value in the offense last year was his ability to catch passes coming out of the backfield. That was what made him so relevant in fantasy football. And I don't see that happening again this year. I just don't. So if there's anybody who's going to be in for regression in the neighborhood of being able to get the ball in their hands, it's this guy. And you can't produce if you don't get the ball. Like, that's number one. We talk about touchdown regression and this or that, but if you're just not getting touches, it's drying up, you're in trouble. All right, let's move on here. Number 17 is LeVeon Bell with the New York Jets. These guys, dude, oh my gosh, right? It's Adam Gase. That's the real problem here. We've both got him way back. I've got him at 16, actually.
Yeah,
you've got him at 21.
Yeah.
He's our consensus 17. And I was going to ask you a little bit ago about Gurley. Who would you take, Gurley or Bell? And I was thinking to myself, I think I probably would take Gurley right now. And I think that means I need to flip them in my rankings, right? I've got 116. I've got Bell at 16. Gurley at 17. I don't think that changes the consensus too much here. I think he's still at 17. But man, I have just, ever since he's left Pittsburgh, I have not wanted anything to do with Le'Veon Bell. And it's because he fell into the wrong situation. I can't blame the guy. He took the money. That's fine.
Oh, yeah.
It's a business. It's what they got to do. But for purposes of fantasy football, he's in the wrong place. He's got Adam Chase the Dragon Gase going and calling plays, and Gase didn't even want the dude. He didn't even want him on the team.
Nuts, man.
And
he's flat out said
the best running back in the league at the time. I don't want that guy. No. Hand me. You know what? Go down there and get that Raquel Armstead kid. Give me him. I mean, they went and they drafted. What did they have? So they added Frank Gore.
Yeah.
They
drafted Denzel
Mims. But they also drafted Samaje Perine cousin.
Oh yeah.
So in like the fourth round or something. LaMichael or something.
Yeah.
And so they've got, look, first of all, Gore is going to be running back 1 on that team as far as carries go. As the number of carries, Gore is going to be running back 1 on that team. I'm sorry to inform you, but he will be running back 1 on that team. That's a
hot take.
Oh, dude, look at what Gase gave to. Look what he did in Florida, dude. Down in Miami, Gase gave running back 1 touches to Gore at the time that he was like 35 years old. and they had Kenyan Drake on the team.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do not believe in Adam Gase. I'm sorry. I talked a whole lot there about Le'Veon Bell, and it boils down to I don't believe in Adam Gase.
Yeah, it's you said it. He landed in one of the worst spots that you can land in, and I mean, he took the money. That's what you do as a running back. I mean, if they offer
I
you
can't
money,
blame him.
you take it. Yeah, you can't blame him. The guy is still talented. It's just once again, he's just in a terrible offense. I don't get why Adam Gase is still, this, savant when it comes to
A
offense.
coach?
I don't know.
In the NFL?
He is an NFL coach because of Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
That's why, is because of his time there. And he's still right.
What about Jay Cutler?
No. So it's just, if he was in a different situation, I would have him in a better ranking. But this is what the cards were dealt. He plays for New York Giants. I have him as a low-end RB2 just because he is still talented and he should still get the workload I think he'll get. Yes, Frank Gore's going to steal some, but, dude, Frank Gore's – God love him, but, man, he's busted.
Frank Gore was getting first and second down in Buffalo.
Yeah, he was. Till towards the end of the season, and he finally did not. So up next, we have number 18. We have Chris Carson. This is another one that we're a little farther off on. I have him at 15. You have him at 23.
Yep.
Probably injury concerns is probably up there on your lists of some of the reasons why you might have Chris Carson pushed down. He is coming back from a fractured hip. He actually did not have to have surgery. We talked about this in the other episode, which is kind of nuts. It's like you don't have to have surgery on a fractured hip. So it's
usually a fractured hip, the issue with it is just it's got low blood flow. It would have been a 2-year recovery if he had gotten a surgery. So like you're just better off actually allowing that to
just kind of recover.
Yeah.
So, but when the guy is on the field, I mean, he performs. He performs at a very, very high level, and he's done that for quite a few years now for the Seattle Seahawks. They brought in Carlos Hyde, and I don't think it's to take, production away from Chris Carson. It's because of Rashad Penny is coming back from injury as well. And, I mean, his was a little bit more. It was a torn ACL, I believe. So he's going to be a little slower to come around, and I think it's still going to be Chris Carson's team. There's always been the whole, Russell Wilson comes out and says he wants to throw more. Who's the coach there?
It's Pete Carroll still, I believe.
And who is what's he want to do with the ball?
And he always wants to run it unless he's on the 1-yard line in the Super Bowl.
Dang. Well, there goes the Seattle Seahawks fan that was watching us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I like the Seahawks actually. Now that Golden Tate's not there, I like him. So.
Oh, dang. Man, you're just hating on people right now.
Oh, yeah.
But I still think I still believe in Chris Carson. As long as he can hold on to the ball and be healthy.
Yeah. My concerns with Chris Carson are that I don't think that Seattle believes in him anymore, actually. That's my problem with him. I don't think that they believe him anymore in him anymore. They drafted a running back in the 4th round. They added Carlos Hyde, a guy who was a 1,000-yard rusher last year, like nearly 1,100 yards rusher last year, a guy who had running back 1 carries last year and is still capable of putting up those types of touches and is fairly fast, actually, and a decently dynamic back. It's not like he is Frank Gore. He did okay in the Houston offense, which is Bill O'Brien's running game. That's not very great. Like the passing game's phenomenal. Running game's not that good, actually. Right. And so for me, Chris Carson, the reason I've pushed him way down my board is I think that Seattle's kind of starting to back off. And I do have concerns that he's going to finish as their running back 1. I don't know if that's going to happen. I really don't. I think that he's going to perform for a while as their running back 1, but there's going to be some reason he's not playing in your lineup as running back 1 for Seattle at some point. That will happen. He will come out of your lineup because of what they're doing with him.
Yeah.
So I'm not spending on that guy. I'm not going to spend on him. I mean, he's not coming on my team unless it's 5th round, Okay. Like I'm just not considering that. All right, number 19, we've got Ronald Jones II.
All aboard the Ronald Jones train.
Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't moved up your draft board that much. You still got him at 24.
He has.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, we both had him back at like 40.
Low 30s. He's in my low 30s whenever we did our 2.
You've got him at 24. So he's like, yeah, I've got him at 15. I'm seeing things here, man.
You are
I don't know.
bullish.
I might be crazy, but look, I don't think that. I think this is a guy that you can grab for a great price because everybody else is thinking, well, of course, Keyshawn Vaughn's going to get the work.
Right.
But I don't think Keyshawn Vaughn's going to get much of anything. I think he's going to be lucky to grab 15% of the touches in this season. I really do. I think that the guy to own in that backfield is Ronald Jones. And I think that you're going to regret not having taken him when he was available to you because somebody's going to take him in like the 7th round in your draft. And you're going to be like, why didn't I do that? And it's because you weren't listening to us, right? so
go ahead and click that subscribe button, hit the bell so you know when we upload this information.
That way you're told repeatedly, draft Ronald Jones. You can get him in the 5th or 6th round, and everybody's going to go, oh, great pick there, dude. Yeah. And then you're going to be laughing while you're sitting in the championship and winning.
Yep.
Right?
The only thing I'm addicted to right now is winning.
Yeah. What do you got for me on Ronald Jones?
Yeah, it's one of those things where the coach for the Tampa Bay Bucks is Bruce Arians. And I just kind of look back in his Arizona times, and whenever David Johnson was drafted, he didn't do anything his rookie year until about week 12. And that was because of some injuries for Chris Johnson, I think it was. Yeah. That's the only reason why he got some work. And that's why I think it's one of those things where he wants Ronald Jones in there because he's a vet. I mean, he's only going into his 3rd year, but that's a veteran player.
He's younger than Keyshawn Vaughn.
He's also 3 or 4 months younger than Keyshawn Vaughn, and that's still baffling to me. That's pretty funny. Yeah. That just shows you how young he was coming into the league, and it showed. His rookie year was a down year, but boy, did he jump back up there last year, his 2nd year in the league. And I think he's just going to keep improving. He's shown it, and I think #Twommy is going to want somebody back there that knows what he's doing in this offense. So that's what I got on Ronald Jones.
Speaking of, what do we got at 20?
At number 20.
Right? Who is that?
Yeah, we were just kind of talking about Arizona Cardinals, and, well, this guy was traded away from the Arizona Cardinals. So our number 20 is David Johnson. We actually have them both at number 20.
Wow.
And, yeah, this is a little bit of a projection just because, boy, he looked
old.
Slow.
Yeah.
He looked old. He looked pretty slow coming back from injury. But I think it was just the fact that he came back too early from injury for Arizona. He wanted to perform for his team. He also probably saw that his position on the team with Kenyan Drake was getting taken away. So I don't blame the guy for coming back. But you also mentioned this. Carlos Hyde played for the Texans last year, and they turned him into a 1,000-yard rusher.
Yeah.
They gave him 250-plus touches last year.
Yeah, I don't recall.
And David Johnson's a better receiver out of the backfield, in my opinion, compared to Carlos Hyde. So what is it stopping Bill O'Brien, Mr. Spartacus Chin, what's stopping him from giving David Johnson 250-plus touches? Not a whole lot. Duke Johnson's there, but his targets are coming down every year. So that's why I think David Johnson's going to be some good value, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think Duke Johnson's a pretty solid running back.
You do,
I think that he's always kind of been I think he's just not gotten the opportunity. I think that he's nowhere near at the level of like some elite running back or anything like that. Right. I'm not crazy on him.
Maybe a couple years ago.
Yeah, I mean, decently when he was in Cleveland, I thought that there was nobody ahead of him who should have been starting ahead of him at the time that he was there. I mean, he only left there 1 year ago, so I think that Chubb was already on the team 1 year with him. But he should have been getting a larger percentage of the carries. Last year, Carlos Hyde got 245 opportunities in that offense, and I think Duke Johnson. I mean, these are rush attempts. Duke Johnson only got 83. Now, targeting wise, it was 16 to 22 out of the backfield that it was, in favor of Duke Johnson. So that is, I think what they wanted to do and what they got out of getting David Johnson was they wanted a guy who they can play on third down and not have to bring in Duke Johnson. I think that's really what they wanted to accomplish there. I think that David Johnson's in line for a solid year. I really do. I think he's going to be one of those guys that you find later in the draft, a little bit, not like super late in the draft, obviously. I think that you should be able to take him somewhere in the middle. And he's going to be one of those guys you're like, well, it's not a great pick, but I'll take David Johnson. And you're going to realize, oh, wow, that was phenomenal. Like if he's your third running back and he goes over 1,000 yards and he's got an additional like 45 catches, holy cow. Give me that
it's a
all
league
day.
winner, possibly.
Yeah. Flex with a guy going over 1,000. Yeah.
Yep.
I'll take that. All right.
What's next?
Moving on, we've got number 21. We have Raheem Mostert with the San Francisco 49ers. A lot of people are starting to fade him a little bit. I don't really know why. I've got him actually ranked better than you or higher than you do.
Yeah.
I've got him at 18. You've got him at 23. A lot of people are starting to push him out of running back 2 territory for some reason. I think
probably
it's
has to do with
because
that
he
trade
demanded that
request.
trade.
Yeah.
There's no way they're trading this guy.
No.
There's simply no way they're going to trade him. Does that mean he's going to perform or underperform? Why would he do that? Why would he go and shoot himself in the foot when he could make more money? Right. He's telling them basically, I'm not going to stay here. So you're either going to franchise tag me and pay me even more, or you're going to let me go. You're going to trade me away while you can get something. So in my opinion, that offense is a run first. We know it's a run first. They run the most running plays, right? And I think that a lot of people are concerned. Okay, Tevin Coleman's healthy. You've got this guy, that guy. Who's the running back one? It's Raheem Mostert.
Yeah,
like it is Raheem Mostert. He is the best running back out of that backfield by far. Yep. Tevin Coleman is on the backside of his career at this point, guys. He really is, and it's primarily due to health. It's not because he wasn't a good running back. It's because he just doesn't stay healthy anymore.
That's what's tough.
Yeah,
it's tough.
IU grad, right?
Yeah.
Right, what do you got for me on Raheem Mostert?
This is a Purdue grad, so this is even more tough for me to say. He's one of those rare breakout fifth-year players. You just don't see that happen. But, I mean, he's bounced around in the league, but he was finally given the opportunity last year, and he took off. Weeks 12 through 16, he was the seventh best running back. And he continued that into the actual NFL playoffs. And, I mean, you can't not look at his 220 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns against the Packers.
Yeah.
Go ahead and you can
bring
hit
it up
that drop
every
if
time.
you wanted to. No, it's good. Every time. That's running back one numbers that he was putting up. And, and as of this recording, there was a report that came out saying that, Raheem Mostert talked to the execs at the 49ers. So it's one of those things where he cleared the air about the trade request. I don't blame him, really. He's a running back. He's 28. He's trying to get paid a little bit more. He was being basically paid as a special teamer, and then he just put up that season. I don't blame the guy.
Yeah.
But it sounds like nobody wants to trade for a 28-year-old running back. That's just not going to happen. So
especially who's bounced around the league.
Exactly. So it's one of those things, though, like you said, he's not going to shoot himself in the foot. He wants to come back. He wants to take care of that ball. He wants to be the number one running back in this offense, and I think he will. He showed it last year. I like him a lot. Now that the news came out, it'll probably come back, or he'll go up my draft board a little bit.
Sure. All right, who do you have for me at 22?
Let's look here. We have James Conner of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have him at 19. You have him at 24. And it's always one of those things with James Conner. It all just comes down to health. That's really all it comes down to, because the guy is just really good with the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
And that's just the issue, is there's a lot of running backs in that room now. They really have drafted a lot of running backs here recently with some pretty decent draft capital in them. But it's still James Conner's team when it comes to who is the number one in that room right now. And with Big Ben coming back, I mean, that offense is completely different.
Yeah.
Whenever Ben Roethlisberger is the quarterback.
I agree.
And
I think that Conner is a much better back with Big Ben.
He's more rounded. He's absolutely more rounded because he can run the ball. He can still catch the ball as well. It's just, okay, let's hope for a healthy season out of James Conner. And I think he's going to a contract.
And out of Roethlisberger.
Yeah, and out of Roethlisberger.
Yep.
So I have a little more bullish on James Conner just because of what he has done when healthy.
Yeah. My concern is that he just doesn't put in even 8 games. I mean, that's the real problem, right? He gets you maybe 8 games a season. So why am I going to spend running back 2 value on a guy that I'm going to get half a season out of? I mean, I guess when to start him, right? that's the benefit you get, but that's not somebody that I'm looking for at running back 2 value. I'm just not spending that level of draft capital on that.
Yeah.
So he's at 24 for me because he's falling backwards into the running back 3 category, and it's not a guy that I'm targeting ahead of wide receivers at that point. And So yeah, just draft wise, it doesn't make sense for me. And that's my calculation on him. It has much less to do with his capabilities. It's just that I don't think he can stay healthy and give you the full season. So, all right, let's move on here. Number 23, we have David Montgomery. I have him at 21. You have him at 22, and we have him consensus number 23. All right. So I actually saw today somebody, I think I sent the tweet to you. Somebody tweeted that Miles Sanders was going to finish behind David Montgomery this year. I'm like, what? Yeah. I don't know about that one, guys. Yeah. Don't believe that guy.
Don't be that guy.
But really, it boils down to, I think that this person sees that there's no competition in the backfield for David Montgomery. I disagree.
At least for rushing.
I disagree with that. Yeah, that's my point. I think, Cohen is there, right? Still.
Yeah.
And so he's a valuable player.
Yeah.
David Montgomery did get a little bit better as the year went on last year, but that offense is just terrible. And it doesn't matter if it's Trubisky or Foles. It's still probably going to be a pretty terrible offense. Yeah, Allen Robinson's going to shine. Anthony Miller might be okay. But I don't think that I just don't think that David Montgomery is truly a great dynamic back that is going to do great things out of the backfield, a la Kareem Hunt and Matt Nagy's, offensive play calling in Kansas City 3 years ago.
Right.
Like that's not this guy. Like
they definitely tried to draft him to be that guy.
They did, but you know what he reminds me of? Jamal Williams. Like that's what I get. That's the vibe I get out of him is like this dude looks like he's running in wet cement. Okay. All right. He cuts like he's running in wet cement. Yeah. That's where I'm at.
Even with a guy that looked like he was running in wet cement, they gave him a lot of workload. And they didn't really add anybody else in this backfield. So it's still going to be his team when it comes to running back carries and everything. So I think the volume is still there. And that's what we really look for when it comes to running backs is the volume opportunity. And to be able to get him towards the end of your RB2 rankings, I mean, that would be great to have this guy as your flex.
That's the only reason he's in that talk for me as RB2.
Yeah, if you can pull that out and have him in your flex, I mean, you're doing some good stuff. And there's still always talks coming out of him working him into the passing workload a little bit more. I mean, he was a rookie last year. Second-year running backs, I do like them as well. We like to talk about second-year players. So I think with the volume, he's not really explosive. He's not a dynamic guy, but you still can't pass on the volume.
I don't even know if it's his fault. Like that's the thing.
No, it's not. I
think it's a lot of people in that offense are really bad, and none of them know how to really play together. Like Trubisky was absolutely atrocious, like just terrible.
Yeah,
I saw a joke about him. Like they were like, "Oh yeah, it's 300 years, or what is it? It's 2045 is what they said." And the post-nuclear apocalypse, all the QBs are dead, and Mitch Trubisky still isn't QB1. So,
all right, let's move on to our number 24, Melvin Gordon of the Denver Broncos. I have him at 18, and Kyle, you have him at 29. I can't wait to get into it with you on this one. So. Sure. I'll start. He was out for, I think, the first 4 games. But when he did come back, him and Austin Ekeler still put up fantasy-relevant numbers. He still got the touchdowns. I think he still finished with 8 touchdowns last year in limited time. And, I mean, you give the guy a 2-year, $16 million, you don't want to have him sitting on the sideline. They have Phillip Lindsay there. They have Royce Freeman if he makes the roster. I think it's just going to be a Melvin Gordon, Phillip Lindsay type, workload. I think it's going to be a 60-40 type workload because Melvin Gordon can catch the ball out of the backfield as well. Mm-hmm. And I mean, he had to because Phillip Rivers was throwing the ball for so many years. And it's still one of those things where the guy coming out of Wisconsin, he was still talented. I mean, he's another year removed from ACL injury. So I think this is some really good value being able to get him. If you're able to get him once again, as your RB2 or even your flex, that's really good value. What do you think?
I'm willing to be surprised by him, but I'm not paying more for him than RB3. I'm really not. And the reason for that is that I think that it's entirely likely that Phillip Lindsay gets more carries, gets more opportunities than him. And the reason for that is that Phillip Lindsay is a really good pass blocker, and they're very concerned about their quarterback having time and opportunity. And I think that Melvin Gordon is going to slide into a more first down, second down type of role. And I don't think he's going to get that third down opportunity. I think that they are looking at him as an upgrade from Royce Freeman. I think that this is still the same offense that they've been trying to run Royce Freeman on first and second down. And I'm sorry, I don't think it's Royce Freeman's fault entirely. I think that it's this line, and the blocking scheme is terrible. I think that they just don't believe in this offense in general. It's one of those offenses I am staying away from. I know that people are going to disagree with me because, what about Cortland Sutton? Go back and watch our wide receiver bust episode.
Yeah.
You'll see why not Cortland Sutton.
You won't know when Emmanuel Sanders was traded.
Yeah.
You won't know based off the numbers.
Yeah. This offense is anemic. This is a team that wants to win by playing defense and running the ball, right? So that's what they're trying to do here, is get a guy who can run the ball. But you can't run the ball if you can't block. And that's my problem with them, is that even Phillip Lindsay looked bad last year.
Yeah.
And he's not a bad running back. He's just not. He's a very fast, dynamic running back. They made him look terrible. So, yeah. All right, guys, that is it for running backs. Next time that we talk with you, we're going to talk about our wide receiver rankings for our midsummer ranking series here. And so once again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you click that bell so that you get notified every time that we upload the best fantasy football podcast on the internet. Thank you again for being a fan of The Upside, and we will see you next time.
See you guys.
Bye.